Hello everybody, I've been super behind on Beavis and Butthead. I'm going to make a separate video on the season 2 or season 11 finale. But today I'm going to be talking about these latest 10 and 11 episodes. I'm going to be talking about hoarders. So Beavis and Butthead are watching TV because they're trying to get girls, but through their TV, they see this show of some guy who has a bunch of junk in his house, and he feels terrible that he's so piled with stuff to have a nice home, and the girl that's helping him out is hugging him, and so Beavis and Butthead misunderstood that with them getting some, and so they decide they're gonna trash their house just so girls can come over and hug them and, get some. And so, what Beavis and Butthead do, surprisingly, is, they actually clean their house. Like, they, do the dishes, they clean, dust. Like, it's actually nice that they did that. They clean the garbage, but then they're like, we gotta trash this place, Beavis. And then they end up throwing all the garbage back on the floor, and then they end up throwing even more stuff, and then there's a whole pile of junk just everywhere. It's bizarre, and now because there's so much junk, they're trapped in their own home. They can't find their way out, and so the rest of the episode is kind of just them going insane in their house. And it goes so far where Beavis is protecting newspapers that are surprisingly stacked all together. And Butthead tells him, "I don't care about your newspapers. I'm trying to get some girls." And they end up arguing, and they're like, Butthead's like, "Oh, don't you think getting girls is more important than your newspaper?" And Beavis is like, "Oh yeah." He says, "Oh, are you just tricking me?" And then they end up fighting, and then Beavis gets knocked down with a pile of newspapers, and he's trapped in his. All we can see is his leg sticking out. Then Butthead tries to find his way out when he sees some sunlight, but then he ends up falling into the debris as well, and they're both basically trapped in their own home. Then we flash forward 30, I think a few years later, in 2033. That's a long time from now. And it's revealed that two construction workers find the skeletal remains of Beavis and Butthead, and they decide to not have cops come over to investigate since their house looks like trash, and then they decide to just throw the bodies onto the garbage can, and that's the episode. So this was definitely a bizarre episode. I was like, Beavis and Butthead die again, but like I said in other videos, when Beavis and Butthead die, it doesn't mean anything. They'll just be brought back the next episode. Like, there's no canon besides them being in 2022, and they're not even realizing it. Heck, they can be in 2023 now. And so the next episode is called Needles. It's where I couldn't find any photos, so I'll just use this. So Beavis and Butthead are concerned by Mr. Van Driesen because they're lacking focus. It reminds me of myself. And so he tells them that they should get these needles on their faces so they can be calmer. And so they go to the doctor and they get needles, but Butthead refuses. He ends up trying to hit the doctor, and he ends up he's calm, but then when Butthead goes ballistic, he just goes, "Someone call the police." But Beavis is fine with the procedure, that he goes home with needles. And I just love how Beavis is so calm. Like, he's just like, "What did you hear? What was it?" Like, he's like, even when Butthead tries to slap him, he ends up getting poked by the needles. Like, now Butthead can't really slap him like he usually does. And they're kind of just walking around for a bit. And Beavis is just all calm and stuff. That he even tries to buy more needles when he goes to a shop. And he, instead of buying clothes or something, he instead grabs a box full of needles. It's like, "Can I get this?" And and the lady at the counter is like confused why he wants to buy that. And he ends up putting needles all around his body. And then he tries to go to the bathroom, and because there's needles in his, and he ends up getting hurt from it, and ends with him screaming, going, "Ah, my schlong!" And then Butthead's like, "That kid's wild," or something. And so that's neat. It was a pretty hilarious episode. The best part is, like I said, when Beavis is like calm. Like, it's so weird seeing him calm. And so I think the next episode I'm really excited to talk about is the Ciabatta Zone. Now, I really love this episode. We see the return of Burger World. It's where Beavis and Butthead are just doing their thing. But then the Burger World manager's like, "Hey, we need someone to dress like this." And it's a Burger World outfit where the hamburger's like the mascot or something. And they have to say it, "Welcome to the Ciabatta Zone." And so Butthead's just standing out there. But then when girls are like, "Ooh, I like this costume. Let's take a picture." And then Butthead ends up touching the girl by her butt. And yeah, I think that's what gets her attention. And Butthead really only likes this part of the job because, yeah, he gets to get on with girls. And it makes Beavis feel left out that he wants to dress up like the burger because he really wanted to. But the Burger World manager just makes him clean. And for some reason, they put ketchup and mustard in the trash can. And wait, no, in the cleaner thing for the mop. And they're using that to mop the floor. And, yeah, Butthead's just like, "I'm never gonna take this off." And Beavis is like, "No." And so, what Beavis does next, while Butthead's not even at work, he's just wanting to wear the costume just for the heck of it. Beavis makes his own costume. He wears a cone on his head, the couch cushions with a few food stuff on it, and I think he wraps it with toilet paper or something. He wears the socks on his hands. And he wears, like, the shower curtains as a cape. It's a very adorable costume. Funny as well. And now we're at rivalries because of the costumes. And Butthead's just wanted to say, "Welcome to the Ciabatta Zone." And I just love it where they keep joking about their ciabatta. And what happens next is a guy walks up to Butthead. And it's just like, "Hey, were you the one that touched the girl like that?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he says that the boyfriend's gonna come and beat the crap out of him. And Butthead's like, "Uh-oh." And so he decides to do something devious. This just proves that the duo are bad at their relationship. Butthead ends up giving Beavis the burger helmet finally. And Beavis is relieved, but he did it just so Beavis can get beat up by the guy because he thinks Beavis is the one that was inappropriately touching her. Yeah, so Butthead's just, I don't know why, but the bully did not, he just seemed, he's like that boyfriend who's overprotective over his girlfriend, even though I feel like it's his right to protect his girlfriend and all. But, yeah, Butthead just, I don't know why he didn't, like, recognize Butthead in the costume for some reason, but whatever. And so that's the Ciabatta Zone. I always just love the term, the Ciabatta Zone. So it's nice to see Burger World. I like the costume Beavis wears, and so that's the episode. So next is a warehouse. So this is another only photo I can find of the episode. So Beavis and Butthead, middle-aged Beavis and Butthead are just hanging around the Maxi Market, but until they bump into some lady who's offering a job at a warehouse. And Beavis and Butthead are just like, "No, we don't want to work. We don't want to work an hour." Like, Beavis and Butthead just don't want jobs. But then she tells them they can get benefits, and so that's what hooks them in and getting this job at this warehouse. And they got their construction uniforms on, and then they're walking around the warehouse. He introduces them to the place, and then basically what the job is that they have to put stuff in boxes, and this robot thing, this shelf, gives them the object they're supposed to give, and they put it in the box, and you get the point. But instead of doing what they're supposed to do, Beavis and Butthead end up finding these cheese spray things, the cheese spray cans, and they end up drinking it. And that's what they keep doing until all the robots accidentally collide all towards each other while the people there are interviewing for the warehouse. And so Beavis and Butthead accidentally cause a fire, not even caring at all, and they just want the cheese bottles. And then the episode kind of just ends in them walking away with it. So, yeah, Warehouse is definitely not the best episode, but it was definitely a funny idea of an episode for sure. So, I don't know what really happened in the commentaries. I think there's a scene where, Beavis and Butthead are watching some guy who's, like, teaching him how to sing loudly. And he's just, like, it almost sounds like he's saying Butthead sucks, but he's saying above the top. It's funny. And then Beavis ends up breathing so loudly that he almost passes out. So those are the episodes. So I'm going to rank them right now. So I think my favorite is the Ciabatta Zone. It's, like I said, it's funny. Then I think next should be, for second place, is Needles. Then Hoarders. You know what? How about the Ciabatta Zone and then Hoarders? And then Needles, and then the Warehouse. And so those are the episodes. I can't wait to talk about the last episode. I can't believe we made it this far in the show. I hope we get a season 3 or 12, whatever you want to call it. So with that being said, thanks for watching. And